Hello, I'm Hugh Coakley from the Guildford Dragon News, and we're talking today to Olivia Carpenter Lomax, a trustee of the charity Zero Carbon Guildford and one of the organisers of the Great Big Green Week, which is starting in Guildford in around about a week's time. Olivia is a principal consultant at the Ricardo Engineering and Environment Consultancy. She also chairs the Energy Sector Executive Committee at the Institution of Engineering and Technology. Now, the Great Big Green Week is billed as the largest event for climate and nature ever seen in the UK, and it kicks off on Saturday, September the 18th, with a series of talks, events, and activities. All free, as far as I'm aware, but I'm sure Olivia will tell me if I'm wrong. It's in and around the town. It finishes on Sunday, September the 26th, with a car-free day in the town centre, and that's organised by Guildford Borough Council. So welcome, Olivia, and thanks for joining the Guildford Dragon News today.
Thanks, Hugh.
So can you tell our Dragon readers, give our Dragon readers an overview on what's happening in the Great Big Green Week?
Sure. So as you said, it's actually billed as the biggest climate event in the UK, and it is a national event. So there's lots of things happening in lots of different areas. We're really engaged in the Guildford Great Big Green Week, and it all kicks off on Saturday the 18th, and there are all sorts of events. So there are workshops on making dream catchers and learning how to use a scythe. There's a bike repair workshop, a workshop on vertical farming, and how to set up a vertical farming farm to grow your own produce. There's creative writing and poetry. There's a cinema showing on Wednesday the 22nd, which is showing David Attenborough's film A Life on Our Planet, and hopefully that will spark a lot of really interesting debate and a lot of passion in the audience. And there's a couple of really big events. So there's a big event on the cathedral grounds. So there's a few events on the cathedral grounds, actually. They've let us set up a marquee, and we're going to have a few events there. And on the Saturday, the second Saturday, so Saturday the 25th, we're going to have a whole series of events around how all of us can make changes to help protect the planet. And it's going to be quite a party, hopefully. It's going to be live music and comedy and all sorts. So I definitely recommend coming along to that. And then also the day after that, on Sunday the 26th, we have Car Free Day in Guildford Centre, which is another one I'm really looking forward to, and where we are going to see what Guildford city centre, a town centre, is like with fewer cars, which is going to be really interesting to see. So obviously better air quality and more space for us to dine outside and have music and have stalls. There's going to be the vegan market, and I think the antiques markets is on at the same time. And there's going to be all sorts of things for people to come and see, and yes, just enjoy our town with fewer cars.
You know, Guildford is absolutely fantastic when it's buzzing with the markets and so on, isn't it? When it really is. So why do we need a Great Big Green Week?
So Great Big Green Week is all about really raising awareness of all things climate and environmental. And it's about making sure that us as a community are aware of what we can do. And it's also about raising the debate for organisations and governments and everyone that needs to take action on Great Big Green Week. So it's a way of us to really engage the whole community. And I think by the range of events that we're putting on, you can see all the different ways that we can do that.
Yeah, fantastic. So I see that the United Nations, Parliament, councils, the USA President, Uncle Tom Cobley and all are all saying we're in a climate emergency. Why do you think we are also reluctant to change? You know, why is the government slowed off the mark? Why? We all recognise it.
I think it's a really good question, and in some ways it's really difficult to understand. And I think we are changing. I think there's quite a lot happening quite quickly. It's now become, certainly in some circles, it's become really normal to talk about the climate emergency and to make real change in our own lives. And you talk about people changing their diets and choosing different holidays, and it's certainly for some people a really normal part of their lives now, which is really great. And I don't think it would be a few years ago. But I think there's still an issue about people not grasping how much of an emergency it is, and not seeing it as that urgent. And I also think it's just really difficult to become a really good environmental citizen. It's such a huge problem to grasp, and the solutions are so far-flung. It can influence every single decision that we make as individuals, and that companies make as organisations, and that the government makes in everything they do. It's not as if you can flick a switch and there's just one change you have to make. My cat has joined the conversation. So I think there's a real lack of information that is clear and transparent and kind of really easy to grasp. And I think that's one thing that we can try and solve with some of the events in Great Big Green Week. And there's so many environmental options that are more expensive and more difficult and less convenient. And I think part of that is just that they are not well established yet. And I'm really convinced that a green future should be exciting and desirable and more convenient and fairer for everyone. And it's not about restricting and limiting and having a worse life. It's having a slightly different life that is, a really exciting, desirable life to have. But we just need to get there, and there is the change. The change process is difficult.
Is there, as you say, there are huge changes. For instance, am I right in saying about 50% of our energy now is renewable?
Yeah, quite, and it's often more than that in this country, of course.
And in this country, yes, and I think a vegetarian or a vegan diet is no longer a fad. It's now, forgive the pun, but baked into our dietary sort of expectations. Most places nowadays have a dietary, have a vegan or a vegetarian option. But I'm just interested to know where the barriers are. Are the barriers in government? Are the barriers in corporate areas trying, sort of pulling back? Are the barriers in people thinking, God, this is just too big a problem, I can't deal with this? Where do you think are the barriers?
I think it's all of those things. I think there are issues, of course, with how our society is built up and the structures in our society, and those are centered around old ways of doing things, and they're no longer the way we should be doing things. And then that just makes sure that makes governments and organisations make decisions that aren't best for the environment, but best for their shareholders, or to stay in government, or whatever the structures are built around. But I do think there's also a barrier in individuals, and knowing what a big challenge it is. If I think there are lots of people who have other things that they're worrying about, and I think that's really fair enough. And the easier and more accessible we can make these decisions, the better. So you mentioned, I mentioned that you were a trustee of Zero Carbon Guildford, a new charity, and they're setting up shop in the town centre. I think is it the old TK Maxx shop? Hopefully, cross fingers. So we haven't secured on any building yet. The idea is that we will be setting up shop at the bottom of the high street. We are yet to sign a contract as I speak. Hopefully, we are days away, but then we never know with signing contracts. But yes, Zero Carbon Guildford was set up just over a year ago, and we're actually made up of lots of different organisations, representatives from lots of different organisations in Guildford, as well as lots of individuals who are just keen to make a difference. And we have all come together to try and set up a hub, a climate action hub within Guildford. And the idea is that this will be a place where existing groups and projects can come and meet and collaborate, and could be a real resource for those groups and for those projects to even store stuff, but come and talk to each other and work together. And also it's a space where every individual can come and learn more, and talk and, you know, express their worries. I think there's lots of climate concern and climate stress in the world as well. So they can come and talk through what they're concerned about or talk through their questions. And we're hoping to set up a zero waste food shop, and there'll be refreshments at a cafe, and hopefully exhibitions that will be interactive, where people can come, families can come, children can come and show their parents of all the things they've learned. So yeah, hopefully it will be a space that is really fun to be at, and will be educational for everyone, and will also be a real resource to help practical projects and groups do the best they can for the planet.
So who are the groups involved?
There's lots of groups involved. So we have Guildford Environmental Forum, which are a very established group in Guildford. We have the Diocese of Guildford have a kind of climate arm, and we've got representation from them. We have Poets for the Planet, which is a group of poets who write climate-related poetry, which is really lovely. We have a representation from the plastic-free there's lots of plastic-free groups, but yeah, plastic-free movement. Extinction Rebellion is involved. Youth Strike for Guildford, so included within our group of trustees are people still at school, as well as people who are retired and everyone in between. So it's a really varied group of people. And we've also been talking to all sorts of other people. So Guildford Borough Council and various parts of Guildford Borough Council we've been talking to. We've been talking to the Women's Institute, lots of the organisations and companies within the town centre have been involved, and we're talking to them as well. So yes, lots and lots of people. I'm sure I've missed some. Apologies if I have.
I'm sure people will understand. But is it a protest arm or an educational arm?
Very much educational. So we some of our constituent associate groups might well do protesting and kind of active lobbying in that way. It's not something that we do. We are much more about education and enabling and supporting the change. And that's part of the message we're really trying to bring, is that
you froze there for a second. You froze there for a second, Olivia.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's
so we're trying to really bring a really positive message through Zero. So rather than focusing on the doom and gloom and how bad it's all getting, we're focusing on the solutions and the positive things that are happening, and how we can all work together as a community to help save the environment, and also prepare ourselves and work together as a community to overcome challenges.
Are we talking about adaptive technologies? Is that the phrase? Adapting our lifestyles to take into account the changes we're already seeing.
Yes, adaptive, but also more than technologies, I think communities, communities and lifestyles. Yeah.
How can people get involved if they should wish?
Well, I would very much encourage you to come along to all the events at Great Big Green Week, and there should be something for everyone, and it's over many days. You can also come to our website at zerocarbonguildford.org, and you'll be able to find out more about us. We've done a couple of videos and things. There is a place on that website where you can volunteer. So if you want to actively volunteer your time, I'd very much encourage you to do that. The more the merrier. Come and join the family. And of course, at some point, we'll want to start building up our hub once we get our premises. So there'll be much more information about that. Sign up to our mailing list if you want to have ongoing updates of what's happening there.
And once the shop is open, people can come in, can wander in, and chat. Okay, so Olivia, the great big green week. What are you particularly looking forward to?
That's a good question. So on the very first day, the very first event is a donut economics talk, which I find really fascinating. So that is about an economics concept, which is about meeting the needs of the whole of society while staying within planetary boundaries and planetary limits. So personally, I'd find that really, really exciting. I'm also very much looking forward to, I think I mentioned the cinema on the Wednesday, and also the cathedral on the Saturday, and the car-free day on the Sunday. I think is going to be really good fun, and yeah, it'll be really interesting to see the town centre with fewer cars, and hopefully there'll be more car-free days to come.
Okay, so Olivia, a very great many thanks for you taking time out of your busy schedule to talk to the Guildford Dragon News, and good luck with the great big green week.
Thank you, Hugh.
All right, thank you.